Lucy onto the stage, who's going to be reading a poem, and then lovely Anne, who's going to be reading a segment of her story from the book, and then Claire, etc, etc. It's going to be fantastic. You then have the chance to buy the book as well at the end, don't you? Fantastic. Cool. So I hope you enjoy, and please, a big round of applause and welcome, a warm welcome for Lucy.
Lucy's world. Perfectly imperfect, that's what she is to me. Everything she's made of is a welcome part of me. At first I was frustrated, wanted everything just right. Now everything we've been through turns my darkness into light. Letting go of perfectness, accepting all her flaws, dissolved her fear of failure. Now she stands up for her cause. More herself than ever, seeing beauty in mistakes, goes to bed contented and happy when she wakes. She colours life outside the lines. She'll take a leap of faith. She's had the key experience, the gift of treasured grace. She knows her worth, she's walking tall. She holds my future now, believes in love, forgives, forgets, though doesn't know quite how. Imperfect mum, imperfect wife, and happy to be so. She knows the love of family will never let her go. Spending time with people who recognise her worth. She's not afraid to be herself. She knows that she's enough. Loving is her answer, and gratitude's her gold. She sees the way is infinite, it's hers to have and hold. Looking to the future, as far as eyes can see, I'm happy and I'm fortunate that Lucy's part of me.
Thank you, that's the poetic genius that is Lucy McHugh. My name is Helen McIntosh and I'm one of the Institute's trustees, and I'd like to welcome you all here on behalf of myself and my fellow trustees Keith Kemp and Sarah Stuart. This is a really exciting part of the whole day for us. Exciting for some of you because you've got a glass of fizz in front of you, but exciting for us because this has been 4 years in the making, and it's been quite a long process, and there's been a few very significant people who've helped us along the way, namely Dr. Nigel Woods, Karina McLeod and Karen Larter. They were very significant people in this whole process, and I just thought I'd like to mention them individually. So what is the Institute? What's it about? Who's it going to impact? And what can we actually deliver? Well, the Institute is the charitable arm of the Key. The Institute is a force for good, and the Institute will take this amazing programme of the Key to the most vulnerable and challenged individuals and communities within Scotland, and I think that's something that's really got to be celebrated. Oh, I thought I heard a little... If I didn't hear it, maybe I just I created that. Because really the Key is about sharing. It's a magical, wonderful programme, and it deserves to be shared by as many people as possible, irrespective of who you are, where you come from, what your background is, what's happened in your past, or where you happen to live. The Key is not about looking backwards, it's about creating positive, life-affirming futures. So we're interested in building futures, and through this programme we're going to touch so many people, and we're going to build bigger, better and bolder lives for some of the most challenged individuals that we've come across, and I think that's a cause worth celebrating. What we will be offering is we will be offering our standard Key programme, which you heard Megan talk about this morning, very eloquently presented. We will also be offering Lauren's Key to Health and Wellbeing programme and the Key New Generation programme, which we haven't spoken about at length today. Day, but it's a very proactive personal awareness programme which we take into schools and colleges, and we teach young people confidence, belief and aspiration. And this programme is in accordance with the Curriculum for Excellence modules, and it supports levels 3 and 4, so we're really excited about going into these establishments and getting people as young as possible to know about the key philosophies, because the sooner we start, the better and the more fulfilled our lives will be. So we're really very excited about that as well. I've got a list here of some of the groups that we will be targeting and delivering our materials to. And these include people who are unemployed and have a desire to improve their circumstances, people who are recovering from addictions and other life challenges, or who perhaps live in areas of deprivation but aspire to better their and their families' lives, people who have learning difficulties and or who wish to engage in creative activity, children and young people who've disengaged from education and the education system, people who are recovering from ill health and who wish to take control of their own health and well-being and create a brighter, healthier future, people who have retired but still feel they have a life to live and a valued contribution to make to society, and people who have experienced family trauma and wish to gain more hope and confidence. So these are the people we are coming to. What I would ask you, if you recognise yourself in any of these categories, if there are people who you know, who you recognise in any of these categories, if you're a fundraiser or you're a funding provider, please do come and talk to us at the end of this segment of the programme, because we'd really like to connect with you and tell you more about what our vision is over the coming months and years for the Institute. But enough about us. Let's move it on to you, because you're probably thinking, well, what can we do right here, right now, to support the Institute? And one of the first things you can do is pick up a copy of this gem of a book, which is being sold for the embarrassing low price of £5, and you can get those at the back of the door, at the back of the hall. And Christine mentioned these very brave, courageous and creative individuals whose stories are peppered throughout this publication, and I had the privilege of collating that information with all of the storytellers, and this is a fantastic read. I would urge all of you to pick up this book. It's a major fundraising initiative for the Institute, and every single penny of profit goes towards the Institute. Now, as I say, for £5 you can't get much better than this. And the magical thing about these storytellers is they are just ordinary men and women like us. But when I say ordinary, they're not ordinary, they are extraordinary people, and you will see that when you read their stories. They are mums and dads, there are school children who've contributed, there are students, there are bar workers, there are care workers, there are some people who are unemployed, there are members of the business community, there are people recovering from addictions and have had some major health problems. So it's a real broad spectrum of society, and we're privileged to say that they're all part of our key community. So thank you, one and all. Most of you are in the room, so thank you very much for your contribution. And now I would like to invite the first of our storytellers, Helen Bilski, up to read you a story which is very life-affirming, very inspiring, and Helen is one of our favourite key people. So Helen.
A second chance at life. My life pre-key was somewhat out of control. I felt like I was on a runaway train. I could not stop it and I could not jump off it because it was going too fast. My biggest challenges were my health and caring for my mother. My bad health had been around since 1995, when my father died of pancreatic cancer and my husband was diagnosed with AIDS. That's when what felt like a nightmare began. I lived in dread of what was going to happen. My husband succumbed to the disease 8 years later. Then the dread switched to Mum. She was always ill. I was constantly stressed, which in turn affected my own health. I developed an overactive thyroid, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and then breast cancer. I feel a wee bit shaky here, so yeah. I calmly accepted the diagnosis of cancer. I said to myself, well, Helen, this is the end. It's time to go and meet Jim. You're going to meet Jim. But I was given a second chance. But sometimes couldn't understand why I got a second chance. I had friends who had died of cancer, leaving behind children and grandchildren. I felt they were more deserving than I at life. Because of my second chance, I threw myself into university, work, caring for mum and going to dance classes, running around like a headless chicken, creating more stress and illness in my life. My thyroid function went haywire, yo-ing from underactive to overactive. So what has the key done for me? Almost everything. It's given me a sense of calmness, looking after myself as well as my mum. I am now more aware of my diet and of the times when I am running on empty. Grace, the key book, and of course the course has significantly slowed me down, taught me to be aware of myself and what's going on around me. I felt myself slowing the runaway train down and taking it into the station for a refit. I have pulled the train out several times and felt it running away again, but I have managed to pull it back in for that refit. The biggest and most surprising thing I have learned was that I am worthy of all good things. Worthy of the second chance I was given by the universe. I have also learned that I am the only one responsible for my own happiness. I have used lots of energy running around trying to please other people, particularly mum. I can only be there for her. In the end, she is responsible for her own happiness. The key and grace has made me more receptive to gratitude, hope, love, confidence, peace and joy, a work in progress, a lifetime work in progress. Bring it on, wonderful universe.
How amazing was that? And one thing we should say, Helen has been working with another lady that we sometimes collaborate with, a lady called Catherine Emmanuel. And Catherine's business is beauty inside and out, and that's something we advocate at the Key: beauty, strength and tenacity inside and out. And I think Helen's a brilliant example of that. I'd now like to invite our second wonderful storyteller, Claire McGuire.
Wow, what a fantastic day this has been. I honestly feel really, really privileged to be here. Up until about a year and a half ago, I was working away tirelessly at a career in television, which I absolutely loved. It was more than a job, it was a real passion of mine. But I was diagnosed with several autoimmune conditions, and unfortunately I had to give up work, which was devastating for me. I went along to a holistics fair, and I met Friel McGrory there. She was selling copies of her book Grace, which is, if you've not read it, it's fantastic. And a friend of mine had mentioned the key to me and said, Claire, you would absolutely love this. But I put it out of my mind and I forgot all about it until that day. And I really believe in synchronicity, and I think I was meant to meet Friel that day. So I took my copy of the book Grace and I went away and read it, and I thought, I'm going to sign up for this course. I'm going to do something to take back a bit of control in my life. So since that first meeting with Friel and going through the hard times where I was not able to work, wasn't able to socialise and really felt like I'd lost myself, I went along to this course, and all this might sound very negative, but actually now I realise it's not negative at all. It's very, very positive. I was able to take back control, and I was able to realise that I could create my future. I could create the life I wanted. So I went along to the course and I realised, or I was taught by Christine, that things don't happen to me, they happen by me. So I went along and I created a vision board, and I was able to say, this is what I'm going to do. I might not be able to do the job that I normally do, but I can do things. So what I've done in the past 9 months is actually unbelievable. I have set myself all these goals, and I went away to study in Spain for a month. I went to Paris to see Dita Von Teese perform. Now, considering that I couldn't get out of my bed most days in the past 9 months, and I couldn't even make a cup of tea without being in pain, that was really a big, big deal for me. What the key has shown me compared to other personal development or law of attraction courses is how to implement these principles into my life and make them work for me. I was able to take control, I was able to watch my vision board come to life, and I've gone from feeling completely helpless with no certainty in my future to accepting the changes in my health and my life and actually looking forward to them. I'm now in the process of setting up my own media events company, and this is something I wouldn't have had the courage to do without the key. So I now have a newfound vision, a newfound excitement for life, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without Christine, without the key, and without the support of my friends and family. And what I have is gratitude for everything the universe has delivered to me. The next step after the course was Unlock Mentoring, and what that was a 6-month intensive course with Christine, Business Mentor of the Year, giving me advice. I actually couldn't believe it. One thing I have to say is I couldn't afford, I was unemployed, could not afford to do this mentoring course, and I was given one of the first Institute of Creation bursaries. So I'm here and I'm living proof that the Institute of Creation really is a worthwhile cause. All I've got left to say is that I'm so excited, so grateful, and so thankful to continue creating the life that I deserve and the life that I want. And I really have discovered the key. So thank you, Christine. Thank you.
What we should say also is that Claire's story was written some months ago, because it takes us a couple of months to get these printed and collated. And since that story, she actually has set up her business called Creative Talents Connections. So I think that's amazing. She set up that business, and also she's co-directed and co-produced a lot of today's proceedings. So I have a huge debt of gratitude to Claire. She's an amazing lady. And now I would like to invite up a lady who is our pioneering, our founding Institute of Creation key teacher. She's worked in the sector for many years, and she's got a tremendous reputation. Our clients think very, very highly of her, and we know that they've endorsed her tremendously. So we're very privileged and we're very honoured to have her working with us, and we know that she's just going to be a fantastic role model, and her clients are going to be overjoyed when they are presented with programmes delivered by her. So I'd like now to invite Brannan up to say a few words about her vision.
Wow, Christine, look. My name's Anne, and thank you, Anne, for that beautiful introduction, and to those amazing stories. Well, I mean, really, what can you say? So it's my great privilege on behalf of the trustees to introduce to you our co-produced collective vision, and spoke about the reason that the charity exists. But here's the vision, and Christine's spoken a lot about those today and how important they are. So I would like to introduce those trustees, because they're hiding around the back somewhere, and they're so, if I'm up here, they can show face. So there's Keith is here, just come and say hi. And I don't know where Sarah is, where are you? She's hiding. So I just wanted them to be part of this, and Anne and Christine, who've worked, some of them, for 6 years to hold that vision, and that's remarkable. But look what's been created. So let me share it with you. How much fun is that? So, the Institute of Creation. Anne's already spoken about what that is, but essentially that has many visions that it will create. Some of them have been coming true already, as been said tonight. The main one is that we will be working together. The key has a philosophy of being one, and we cannot do this without this collective energy in this room tonight to ripple through and help us grow. So, gratitude for being here. We're going to be working with the Scottish office and the health boards, and you can see it says NHS, and what's on the end of it? A little key. I know you can't see that, but there's a key up there. We will be working to grow and develop and to build bigger, better, bolder lives in our communities so that everyone can contribute to society in the best possible way that they can. And it's happening already, which is just beautiful. We're going to have creative activities and create healthier futures, and for people who live in our communities and our workplaces to feel valued. That's been spoken a lot about today, that need to have a purpose and feel valued. Philanthropy, try and say that everybody, is at the heart, the very heart of the Institute of Creation. And you'll see that there's £1 million up there. So abundance, because of us and because of you, will flow to us and through us and out to our communities. Isn't that amazing? Is it just me? Don't you think that's amazing? And here's some of our communities. Helen, you've met already. There's a picture here of her already. There's a picture up here of the people in the book, because they represent our vision of our communities and that growth that the Institute is. We've got a picture here of a mum with children, and Anne spoke about already that working in education, changing the hearts and minds of our communities, but starting with our children, because that's the heart, isn't it? Because they are the legacy. It's a legacy organisation. And that's just the beauty of it. And we've mentioned the new generation here in schools, etc. And of course, we love to celebrate, and Christine, we were talking about awards, and that's not awards because we want accolade about it, it's because of the work that will be done that will create those awards for us. And of course, embedded in all of this is that we have our collective, our own visions and the things that we want, but we have a global vision. So it's in Glasgow and it's in Edinburgh. It's going to go national. So again, it's been such a pleasure sharing this with you. We can't do it without you. We are one. So any help that you could give us, anybody you know, any connections, we'll be around. And thank you for the pleasure of sharing this with you, and thank you for being here.
A very inspirational lady. She's a key ambassador, and she's someone we just love to bits. But not only do we love Shannon, we love her hearing dog Barley, who's going to come up on stage with her. So let's hear it from Sharon and Barley.
A gentle awakening. I have to begin by saying that my life had just started to settle down. It had been a tumultuous few years. I'd had a cochlear implant 18 months before I attended the Key weekend, and I'd been paired with Barley, my hearing dog, just for 3 months, and I'd recently begun questioning how I was living my life. I'd also noticed changes that I hadn't previously been aware of. In the past, I had studied self-help and personal development. I utilised these ideas and thought processes in my daily life for many years. They changed how my family and I lived our lives, and I was able to share this approach with friends and family and some people who were facing some serious challenges. About 6 years before my key weekend, I found myself and my family facing some changes and challenges of our own. A serious break in my husband's health, followed by the death of a close family friend. Not noticing it, the positive practices fell away, and life became something to get through instead of something to live. All the while, my hearing was deteriorating fast. I just plodded along, unaware of how negative my self-talk and thought processes had become. 2 years before my key weekend, I was told I had a 95% hearing loss, making me profoundly deaf. I was told that I would completely lose my hearing within the next 5 years. This was when I was offered the chance of a cochlear implant. It meant brain surgery, a scary thought. But then so was going completely deaf. No hearing aid would work. There would be no hearing for it to aid. By the time of the key weekend, I'd had my cochlear surgery and had been paired with Barley. In my head, I was very grateful. I knew how lucky I was. All things being equal, I would always have hearing of some description. And now I had an adorable companion to help me daily. I hadn't needed to wait on a long list either. It all happened very quickly. I knew I was fortunate. All this had been put in place to help me. But I wasn't moving on. My heart just wasn't in it. I couldn't focus on the benefits of the cochlear implant. I was too focused on the negative. The sound was awful, and at first unintelligible. I still mourn the loss of my music. Barley was fantastic at home, but when it came to taking him out with me to go shopping and going to work, that was a struggle. I didn't need the world and their wife to know I was deaf. I wasn't ashamed of it, but I wasn't comfortable with it either. Barley drew a lot of attention that I wasn't used to. Also, dealing with the assistance dog is very different from a pet dog. So I had a lot of old habits that I had to unlearn, and I found that really stressful. When I arrived at the key venue, we were made very welcome. They were excited to play host to their first assistance dog. It was first for Barley and I too, and their approach made everything much easier. I was there primarily to support my daughter. I knew all this stuff, right? It would do her good to hear it from the professionals though, or so I thought. Then Christine began to speak. She took our minds on a walk, a short journey through our thought processes and how the mind can work both for you and against you. She then went on to back it up with science. And I thought, wow, it was totally new to me. I was spellbound. For each person at a key event, it's a personal journey. For me, that weekend was like a gentle awakening. Now I could see just how far my life had gone off course. I left that weekend energised and determined to make changes. However, one change had already taken place. Being exposed to all that positive, vibrant energy had changed how I viewed Barley's role in my life. I don't know how it works, but it does. I didn't question it. I just embraced it. A few weeks later, I was fortunate enough to be invited to attend the Keys Mentoring course. There, I learned more about the techniques Christine uses to maintain a positive approach to life. If I had known of these techniques years ago, I would have been in a much stronger position to face my challenges. In writing this story, it has encouraged me to look at what has changed since my introduction to the key. First and foremost is my partnership with Bartlett. Not only has it gone from strength to strength, but recently we were awarded the Silver Partnership Award. Barley and I have discussed it, and we have decided we are going for gold. He's quite happy. I then turned my new optimistic attitude towards my cochlear implant. I started to focus on what I could do here, not what I couldn't. And I've even been practicing listening to music, and have even started to hear some melody, which for me is absolutely amazing. Other changes are taking place slowly but surely. In the past, if someone approached me who was going through challenges in their life, I would always try to offer help. That is up until my own challenges left me feeling that I had nothing left to give, an empty vessel. Now, as I practice the techniques and allow the new energy they create to flow into my life, I am at a place where I can think about supporting others again. On a day-to-day basis, I feel less stressed, calmer, and more focused. I'm thinking of changing my job, something I wouldn't have considered before. And I'm more confident about the future, and dare I say, even a little bit excited. I'm able to view my life with an attitude of gratitude, and I've got a lot to be grateful for. It's the people closest to me who are benefiting most from these changes. I'm happier and more fun person to be around. And I feel I'm no longer just going through the motions, but actively participating in life. Recently, I asked a close friend of mine if she had noticed any changes in me since I had started using the key techniques. She didn't hesitate to say, "Oh yes, it's like I've known you back, only better." The gym, I had a grin with the Cheshire Cat for the rest of the day.
How amazing is that? And that's one of the benefits that we have working with the Institute. It's very inspiring and it's very humbling that we can deal with people like Helen and Claire and Shannon day in, day out. So we're really, really excited. I'd now like to invite Christine up to say a few words, or as few as she can, just to kick off the next phase, and we'll do the actual formal opening and ribbon cutting ceremony for the Institute. Thank you, Christine.
Okay, so I started the event with Grace, and I thought I would finish with Grace because, well, for a very special reason. She stood in front of it with Grace in one hand and the key in another. For a split second, Grace saw her as a young woman with blonde hair, a happy, smiling face and a steady gaze. Youthful and full of energy, a woman with purpose, a purpose now fulfilled. I've got a reset button under here. Okay. A quiet calmness settled over the room, and the old lady took a deep breath. She held up the key and pressed it to her lips. As she placed it in the lock of the bookcase, the door immediately flew open. Blinding rays of light burst through the doors along, with a wind that knocked Grace off her feet and onto the ground. Amazingly, the old lady was still standing, slight as she was. Grace watched as the light beamed over the room, bouncing from wall to wall. She was convinced that she could see the eyes of authors and poets, saints, painters and inventors burrow through the walls and stare down on them. Grace stood up and walked over towards the old lady. They peered into the open bookcase, filled with old books from bottom to top. But there was a space, a void. It was the space for one more book. Grace immediately knew. She screamed with excitement. "Is this the book? This is the one. This is the missing book." Just then the old lady stepped forward with a steady hand and placed the book in the space on a shelf. It fitted perfectly. "You're home," she said in a soft, motherly voice. Instantly the whole room began to move and shake. The library was trembling. Everything in the room was coming alive. A wind howled and light sparked. Grace's hair whipped across her face and she shielded her eyes from the light. She fought to balance herself. As magnificent vibrations shook the building, it felt as if a new world was being created. The old lady stood in the middle of it all. Her eyes were closed. Her hands were high over her head, directed upwards to the heavens. Surrounded by a rainbow light, it was as if she was orchestrating the complete event. A flash of flame shot across the air towards the bookcase, and then, as if in response to an unheard silent command, everything began to slow down. Within a few seconds, everything became calm and still. The old lady opened her eyes and looked at Grace. "Are you okay?" she asked. Grace was speechless and nodded, still holding her breath. The old lady looked around as if seeing the room for the first time. Grace followed her gaze. At the top of the bookcase, Grace could see a flame dying out. In its wake, she could see words branded into the charred wood. 4 beautiful words. It read, "The Institute of Creation." Grace stumbled over to where the old lady stood weeping. "This is a thing of great beauty, Grace. I have waited all my life to create this place." Reset. "I have been truly graced." Grace's heart was pounding as she watched the little tears flow from the old lady's brown eyes and drop. She felt an abundance of grace abound through her and deep within her own heart. This is a space where spirit, philosophy and science meet as one. The Institute is the Zeitgeist. It will capture the spirit of the age, the spirit of time. Now is the right time for such a place. "Remember how it all starts, Grace," said the old lady. "It starts with a blank page, a space to create. It's up to us, and many others like us, to take these pages and create a masterpiece." The old lady threw her arms up in the air and heralded, "The Institute of Creation is open." And she laughed, that infectious laugh that Grace loved. Thank you.
Woo!